Back again. Just enjoyed having a bit of a chat with Morton in the comments section on my last video. Talking about Slayer. And that got me to thinking about Black Sabbath. See, I've purposely not done anything on that because it's just been inundated. Now, talking of Slayer, this is probably the last album of theirs that I like. Mid-90s, I believe. It's Diabolicus in Musica. Now, that's what the Catholic Church call certain tritones or something in music. I'm not a musician. And yeah, Black Sabbath were probably the first proper heavy metal band, but in my opinion, this band just took it to another level. They've got the riffs. I consider Slayer modern classical music. Anyway, that's just my opinion. It got me to thinking about poor old Ozzy's gone. And Morton showed a box set of 4 LPs, I think it was. And I think Morton, I think you said he didn't have any with Ozzy Osbourne singing any Black Sabbath albums. To me, the only Black Sabbath albums I know are the first 5. I bought the first one because albums were so expensive then, and you couldn't always find them locally, over 50 years ago. If you lived in a suburb and the local record shop didn't stock it, and it was hard to find them. And before the import shops got big in Sydney in the late 60s, early 70s, but it was hard. I found the first album, which I still have on Vertigo, Swell. My friend got the second one, Paranoid. I hated the cover. I loved the cover on the first Black Sabbath album. It's a masterpiece. I absolutely detested the cover. I cannot stand looking at it. It's awful. But I didn't buy it. But, War Pigs is pretty good, but it tends to... The trouble with Tony Iommi is that on the first Black Sabbath album in particular, the opening track, Black Sabbath, is mind-boggling. It's awesome beyond belief. But then it's all downhill. And then side 2, forget it. We sat around laughing at it. I'm going, he was actually trying to be Jimmy Page. He's actually stealing whole bits off the first Led Zeppelin album there. And you can hear him, but he's lost his fingertips. There's no way that guy can play like Jimmy Page can. But he's the master of the riff, like Keith Richards is. And Keith Richards is not a great guitar player. He couldn't do a solo to save his life, a guitar solo. And but he's great at riffs, and so is Tony Iommi. And so let's face it, the riff on Black Sabbath is awesome. The riff on War Pigs is awesome, but the rest of that album I lose interest because he starts trying to do that flamenco sort of jazz. It's just whatever. I bought the single Paranoid. I'll get back to that in a second. Then I bought Master of Reality. Oh, I just went, this is it. They finally have done it. That is a masterpiece. That is, that's grunge, heavy metal, you name it. It still stands up today. And sadly, it's probably one of their worst productions on their albums. And but maybe that was intended. I don't know. But I love Master of Reality by Black Sabbath. Love it. And it's great. The first 2 albums, bit iffy. Volume 4 had a couple of good tracks, Supernaut, but 1000 Homo DJs, Al Jorgensen from Ministry, he just made a version of that that just destroys Black Sabbath's version, destroys it. But then comes the last album I bought by them, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. Now, I love the cover, I love that track, and I love Killing Yourself to Live. The rest of it, it's just Tony Iommi tries to be, like a flamenco guitar player or something. It doesn't work, but it's sort of, I don't know, whatever. But talk about riffs. That guy is a riff master for sure. And so that was just the Black Sabbath thing. Now, when I bought that album, it was on the Philips label in Australia. No, it wasn't. No, it was on Vertigo. Sorry, I'm thinking of King Crimson. When I heard it, it sent chills up my spine. That opening, the bells and the rain pouring, and that, what is this that stands before me? I'm just going, whoa, shit. But then I thought, hang on, I know this from somewhere. And I had an album by my favourite band of all time, Van der Graaf Generator. It came out probably 6 months or a year earlier than Black Sabbath. And there's a track on that called White Hammer. And it's a very doomy song. But then Dave Jackson, the saxophonist in the band, the Jimi Hendrix of the saxophone, right at the end of White Hammer, he comes in with a riff on the sax that is really blood-curdling. And it's almost identical to what Black Sabbath came up with. They definitely 100% heard White Hammer by Van der Graaf Generator. They had to. It's not a rip-off, but by God, it's a massive influence on Tony Iommi. And then going back 2 years previous to that, to 1967, the first Move single, Night of Fear. Great single. But the B-side, oh my God, I'll never ever forget that. Anyone that heard that B-side, The Disturbance, the B-side of Night of Fear, we all went, have you heard The Disturbance? Everyone just went, my God. That is the template for Black Sabbath. It's a template for Ozzy Osbourne's vocals. It's if you look it up on YouTube, The Disturbance, and if the last 30 seconds of that song don't remind you of the opening of the Black Sabbath on the Black Sabbath album, you got cloth ears, because I swear to God, it sends chills up your spine, and it is genuinely horrifying. And the other thing is, I better get off. The other thing, I'm one of them Satanist things, and I'm drinking the blood of a virgin. Yeah. Towards the end, he screams, and he just goes, "Oh my!" It's spine tingling. Anyway, look, I'm half pissed. I couldn't do this vid while poor old Aussie was, just dead, and now it's a couple of weeks gone by. But I'm just trying to tell all you youngsters that didn't grow up in the 60s that there are templates for Black Sabbath, and in particular, it's The Disturbance, the B-side of Night of Fear by The Move, and White Hammer by Van der Graaf Generator. Good night.